All right, hey guys, OFD checking in here, and today we have an awesome reissue watch from Nivada Gretchen. I want to thank the folks at Nivada Gretchen for getting this one here on the channel. Today we have the Chronomaster Aviator Sea Diver, and this is a reissue watch. These watches originally came out from 1963 to 1970, and I think in just the last couple of years, Nivada Gretchen has reissued these watches. A little fun fact about Nivada Gretchen watches, if you're not familiar with them, they were created back in, the company was founded back in 1926, but in 1950 they created one of their really impressive models, waterproof automatic, called the Antarctic, and that watch actually accompanied the U.S. Navy expedition, the Deep Freeze expedition in 1955 to 1956. So pretty cool little fun fact about Nivada Gretchen. Now, this Chronomaster, these are available in a few different variations. You have some broad arrow hands that are available for these. This is considered the lollipop style hand. You can see there with that second hand for the chronograph there, and it also has these really nice clean stick hands on it. This to me just really harkened back to the original Nivada Gretchens. This one is running a Sellita 510M, which is a manual winding movement. They are also available in the 510 with an automatic movement. A little bit thicker of a watch and a little bit less power reserve on the automatic. With this 510, you get 50 hours of power reserve once it's fully wound up. So pretty good power reserve there for a manual wind. You just have to wind it every few days to keep it going. But the watch is really cool. You have two chronograph functions on this one. You can hear that crisp start of that chronograph. 30-minute counter over here at the 3 o'clock sub-dial. And what's really cool, get it up here a little bit closer and you guys can see it's got a 5-minute countdown. That little red section there on that sub-dial is a 5-minute countdown. I think that's pretty neat. But this sub-dial is up to 30 minutes. Your running seconds over here at the 9 o'clock position. Clean writing on the dial is all painted on with the Nivada Gretchen logo at the top. Your Chronomaster Aviator Sea Diver down there at the bottom. Really the only difference in the dial on these watches, the originals had Croton above the Nivada Gretchen. I think it actually said Croton, the Nivada Gretchen on the bottom. But I'll try to leave a post or a link down to in the bottom to where you can see some of the originals. Also a link to the current website for this watch. But just really everything about this original, especially in the sizing. You have a 38mm case from side to side, 46.5 lug tip to lug tip. Comes in at 13.5mm of thickness, which is pretty thick for a small watch, but that does include that heavy double dome sapphire crystal, which is probably adding at least 1.5 millimeters, maybe 2. Got it on the side here so you guys can see this watch does have pierced lugs. 20mm lug openings on the watch. This is currently on a vulcanized rubber Tropic strap. They do have different straps available over there at the website. And if you guys do decide to go buy one of these watches, I'm going to leave a code down in the description below, and that code will get you a free watch strap if you decide to pick one of these up. The bezel on the watch is a bidirectional friction style bezel, which is true to the time of this watch. These were created from 1963 to 1970, and that's the way they were. Plus, this is more of a racing and an aviators inspired watch. It's 100 meters water resistance, so you could use it for swimming and timing some swimming things, but really it's meant for that racing kind of chronograph functionality and stuff. So go ahead and get the chronograph stopped. We'll go ahead and see it snap back. You can see over here at this sub-dial at 3 o'clock, it's been counting the minutes. Get that snap back. You can see everything snap back nice and clean. But just a really nice looking piece overall. These will set you back between $1,500 and I think $1,700, just closer to $1,800 on the website, depending on what variation you choose of the watch. But $1,700 seems to be about right. And really for a watch with this type of movement, chronograph functionality, an absolutely spectacular reissue, very accurate to the original watches, I think you're doing pretty good here. One of the things I also wanted to note on the bezel is you have your minutes here up to 60 minutes, but also you look a little closer, you have your hour marks all the way around. So you can also keep track of hours with the chronograph functionality, or you can actually use that to turn it around and set it for if you want to keep track of a separate time zone using those hour hash marks on there. I mean, it's not going to be super accurate as a GMT, but you can use it to keep track of a second time zone, excuse me. The polishing and fit and finish on the case, again, very true to the originals. You have nice brushing along the side of the watch here and a nice polished chamfer that comes up under the bezel. Coin edge bezel on the watch makes it very nice and easy to grip. Plus, it's just a friction bezel, so it's not super hard to turn or anything. Flip it over, and I do have the Caseback sticker still on there. You can see all the original information, like the fact that they use that Inca block, which is a very traditional, you see that on a lot of older Swiss watches. And then stainless steel construction, the Nivada Gretchen. Vulcanized rubber, like I said, and I really like the kind of the retro way they got this written on here. It's picking up everything in the background, but the vulcanized rubber there, kind of a cool deal. And it's a very comfortable, very comfortable strap on the watch. Let's go ahead and pause it, get this watch on my 7-inch wrist, and then make sure to stick around for the lume. This one has really impressive lume. All right, so on my 7-inch wrist, this 38 millimeter case fits absolutely perfect. I mean, it really is. You know, sometimes I wonder why I wear larger watches. When I see a 38 millimeter on my wrist, I said, that's pretty much the perfect size. So I think I could actually, with a 7-inch wrist, pull off a 36 to a 38 millimeter all day long, no problem. But this watch looks really nice on the wrist, and it's definitely has that full retro vibe. As I was a kid growing up, my grandfather had a few watches like this that I got to play with, and this watch, as soon as I opened it and looked at it, it took me back to those days when my grandfather had some of these watches laying around and I got to play with them, and just really, really cool. So let's go ahead and dim the lights and look at the lume they have on this one. All right, so if I didn't, I think I did, but if I didn't note, the water resistance on this is 100 meters. It's a non-screw down crown on this watch, and of course, swimming with a watch like this with pushers, you never want to push those the pushers when you're in the water. That's a big no-no. So very, very nice. I did look up the price on this particular model, $1,735 over at the website. It's a truly a reissue watch, and these are very, very high quality watches. I can't explain to you. You really have to handle one to understand the quality in the watch. And thinking of this as a manual wind, very traditional to the era, $1,700. It's a pretty good deal for this watch. So, all right, guys, forgive the thumb. I hit my thumb with a hammer the other day, so I got a black spot there. But if you guys like the video, give me a thumbs up down there at the bottom. And if you've not subscribed to the OFD channel yet, please do. Please do. Thanks, guys.